You are live.
All right.
Okay. Uh,
Good.
look, hi, hello everyone. This is Natasha Trenev. I'm so sorry about the delay in the life of electronics today. We all get sidetracked. I'm here by myself today because I'm going to answer some of your very interesting questions. So I will go on down the list and answer your questions. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a 56-year veteran of the health food industry, and I specialize in probiotics. I introduced the whole area of probiotics 40 years ago to the world. I'm also been in this industry for longer than most of you have been around. So I have specialized in gut care and all the problems with the gut, and was the first one to tell people that the bacteria definitely go through a blood-brain barrier, and they don't really care about what you think or what you don't know. So understanding these foreign objects in our body that have become part of us and that we have to create this unity is probably the most important thing that you need to learn. And even though everybody talks about gut care, they really don't have what I call vertical knowledge. They don't have knowledge from top to down. And so that's why we have more chronically ill people today than we've ever had in the history of this country. And I think it's also a worldwide problem, not just a US problem. So I have a question about taking betadine HCl. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a supplement where it creates the production of hydrochloric acid in your stomach. I'm not a great fan of that because I think the body is a magnificent machine and it really doesn't need help to form what it needs to form unless you have a severe problem and you need to help your body in the interim where it's trying to heal itself. But actually, the digestive function is aided and completed in the body by having the right probiotic bacteria that can survive both your stomach acid and your bile and are definitely produced so that the bacteria want to help you. So remember, anytime you add anything to your body that the body is capable of producing to itself, you may be helping temporarily, but if you do it for a long time, your body will stop producing that substance, whatever it may be in your body, because now you've told the body you no longer need to produce this because I'm going to keep adding this to my digestion. So it's also buyer beware. And so for those of you who have never heard me speak, I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm not telling you not to seek your doctor's advice. I'm just giving you my experience for being in the health food industry and with the healthcare industry for 56 years. And I've talked to hundreds of doctors in my 56 years. And I'm just relaying the information that I've accumulated over half a century. So please note that this is up to you and your doctor and your decision what advice you want to take and what advice you don't want to take. So if you have any more questions on the beta-betadine HCl, please, forward those questions to me. So the second question I have, very interesting one. If raw milk is considered harmful, what about kefir? Well, that's a two-pronged question. Let me put it to you this way. If you are living in a clean Swiss village and you have your own family cow, raw milk is okay. The reason raw milk is not okay today is because many bacteria that are resistant to antibiotics are airborne. And so no matter how clean your stall is or how clean your cow is, the fact that you're putting it into a bottle, because every product that comes from an animal has its own background bacteria. In fact, every plant, anything you consume has what we call a background of microbes. That background of microbes can and will spoil that food. That's why you refrigerate food to stop that background bacteria from growing in the food and causing it to spoil. It's a very simple thing. So, in this day and age, because of what we've done environmentally, it's not healthy to drink raw milk. And I would be willing to have an in depth discussion with anybody else because in my days when I was still at UCLA in the late 60s and early 70s, I worked with a very prominent dairy called Altadena Dairy, who was one of the pioneers in producing and selling raw milk. And the one thing I was trying to defend them with the state of California, and the state of California just said, hey, look, you've had salmonella infections and we've determined they're airborne. And we can't take the risk that somebody could die drinking this raw milk. So in this instance, the state did not overreact. They were reacting to true cases that happened. And so now we have probably a dozen antibiotic resistant organisms that are in the air that could be accumulated in any substance. And milk is a very favorable substance for any bacteria that's airborne to land and grow in. So I think it's not a good idea to really drink raw milk. As far as kefir is concerned, kefir is a specific fermented food. And many Americans don't know the difference between kefir and between yogurt. It has a different starter culture. What is a starter culture? It's a specific group of bacteria that have formed an alliance to culture or ferment the ingredients in the substance that you're wanting to ferment. If you don't have the right combination of bacteria to ferment the milk, you can't call it a kefir. That's why there has to be a standard. And since I was called to testify in New York State in the late 1970s to help the state of New York set the kefir standard, which was then adopted by multiple states, you can slap on the name kefir, but you only can have 2 organisms of lactobacillus and 1 yeast. Now, the problem with having a yeast drink, whether it's kombucha or kefir, is that there is a problem with candida. I've been studying this candida field for well over 40 years. I contributed to William Crook's books. I've talked to many experts in the field, and anybody who's dealt with candida overgrowth will tell you you cannot consume any food that has any kind of yeast, friendly or unfriendly, because it will stimulate its growth. So I think the vast number of people are ill-informed, and it doesn't matter if you call it kefir in this state or in New York or in Chicago. Kefir has to be defined by a standard, and that standard has to be known by the person buying that product. Just because somebody calls something kefir, it doesn't mean it's a great product or that it has the correct bacteria to ferment that milk so you can call it a kefir. And a kefir is just a functional food, like yogurt is a functional food. It means that you get more nutrients out of that food because the starter culture that is composed of bacteria has pre-digested the proteins and the carbohydrates in that food, making it much easier for your body to digest. So please don't be fooled by something is calling kefir and they put a bunch of names of organisms on the label. Those organisms are not alive. They're not going to be able to help you with your microbiome because they don't survive in that environment, because the bacteria who already fermented the milk have created substances to prevent other bacteria from horning in on their territory. So please be an informed consumer and don't just take anybody's word for it. You're now listening to somebody who's done this for 50 years. Okay, let me get to my next question now. So the next question, can you explain exactly what effects Healthy Trinity has on my body? Well, the Healthy Trinity was based on my decades of research to find, first, the most friendly bacteria, the super strains of those bacteria, the ones that have evolved with Homo sapiens and that have been in the literature for at least 100 years. Now, Lactobacillus acidophilus has at least 10,000 published articles on the health benefits. And the way you get health benefits is you choose a particular strain that has the ability to produce those compounds that will allow it to survive and thrive in your small intestine. If the manufacturer doesn't know how to grow this organism, that organism has no incentive to grow and thrive in your GI tract. So if it doesn't make it to your GI tract, it doesn't matter what they tell you on the label, if it's a pretty pink color, if they tell you it's for males, if it's for females, it's not going to do its work. So what you need to know is you need to know who the actual researcher and formulator is that made that product that you want to buy. So the acidophilus is one of the primary microorganisms. It's a super strain that I have added to the Healthy Trinity that supports the finalization of digestion in the small intestine and the absorption of the proper nutrients so that the immune cells that are lining that small intestine do not become disturbed and create a problem, which we call inflammation. So that's the job of the Lactobacillus acidophilus, to communicate with your immune cells to make sure whatever food and nourishment is passing that intestinal wall is not causing inflammation to occur. So the second organism I choose is Lactobacillus bulgaricus, and that's the longevity bacteria that has been around since the turn of the 19th century and has been published in many, many journals. And what it is, it's one of the organisms used to make yogurt. Now, why this particular organism? It's maybe one of three microbes in the probiotic cache of microbes that is able to pre-digest food, not only for itself, but for the human host. This is very important because when the food is properly digested, the size of the molecules that pass your intestinal wall are not the size that aggravate your immune system. So it's very important for this bacteria to help the body break down the food in the right molecular size. So when your body absorbs the nutrients, it doesn't have an allergic reaction. That's very important to know. So we call this the longevity bacteria because a fellow from the Pasteur Institute, Dr. Ilya Mechnikov, studied the long-lived Bulgarians in the early 1900s. And he found that these people were able to live not only a long life, but a healthy long life. You would call that our blue zone of the turn of the century. And he found that these people consumed large quantities of fresh Bulgarian-style yogurt every day. And he wrote a book called The Prolongation of Life. And he said, what causes people's lives to be shortened is the fact that the body is not able to adequately eliminate toxins. And he said the reason he liked this bacterium that was found in this Bulgarian yogurt is because its tremendous ability to communicate with the immune system and to rid the body of toxins. Can you imagine? This guy was writing this at the turn of the 20th century in the early 1900s. That's how important this bacteria is. And the reason a lot of people don't use it or can't grow it properly, because it's hard to grow. You really have to be technically savvy to grow this bacteria and to concentrate it and to make sure that it's protected so it survives the stomach acid to make it into your small intestine. And the third bacteria I chose for the healthy trinity is called Bifidobacteria bifidum. Now, this bacteria is very important for the large intestine, and it's part of our what I call waste and disposal system. The bifidobacteria finishes the digestion and makes sure that takes the pressure off the liver not to be funneling toxins out of the body. So what the Healthy Trinity does, it gives you the three best bacteria based on my 50 years of knowledge that are there to handle the whole digestive tract that affects your immunity, that affects your mood, that affects your digestive ability in order to fuel your body so you have energy and to create beautiful skin. So it doesn't matter how old you are. That's a marketing position. The Healthy Trinity can be taken by anyone that can swallow a pill. That's about it. It's never harmful at any level because these bacteria have been part of us since the beginning of Homo sapiens. So you don't have to be buying a product for the men in the family, for the women in the family, for the children above 8. And the reason I say above 8 is because of swallowing the pill, not because the ingredients are harmful. You don't have to buy a separate pill for the elderly. The one product can be taken by the whole family, and it takes care of your whole system. It's probably the best probiotic still on the market because every day I get confirmations. People, especially professionals like doctors and naturopaths, have used this product for 10, 20, and 30 years, telling me there's still nothing better that they can give to your patients. So I see somebody's writing in a question, and I'll get to that question as soon as I get the questions that were sent in earlier to me. So, and it says, how can nature and probiotics assist in healing IBD and IBS? So, correction. We don't say that our products heal. We give the body the tools to heal itself. I think this is a novel notion to most people who want to take pills to treat symptoms. And I think this will also help Scott's answer. When you have ulcerative colitis, or when you have inflammatory bowel disease, or when you have colitis, it means that your immune system is attacking its own cellular structure. It's attacking the body because it perceives something is defective. And that's because the wrong signaling is being sent to the immune cells. They perceive a danger or a defect in the body that they're trying to settle. So, for the people who have this problem, I would recommend that you start on our Healthy Start system, which is right here, which is the 3 bacteria grown separately in the Healthy Trinity. They're all together in an oil matrix, and that's a very powerful product. So I tell people to start slow because they now have a compromised lining of their intestinal wall. So the powders are perfect for that because we grow each bacteria separately. So you have the acidophilus for the small intestine, the digestolac for the transient flora, and you have the bifidobacter for the large intestine. And you take a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of each. You put it into a lukewarm filtered water, and you take it every time before a meal, upon rising, and upon going to bed. This is not a drug. What we're trying to do is optimize the colonization of your microbiome with the bacteria that have evolved with Homo sapiens, and it's completely safe. And many people, thousands of them, have reported to us that by following our regimen, the body was allowed to heal itself. Now, again, I'm not saying that our products heal. I'm saying that your body will be healed if you give the body the right tools. And so, call up one of our wonderful probiotic specialists, that's Susan, Carolyn, or Faye. They've been with the company a long time. They've talked to thousands of people. So go on our Natron website. There's a number there, a toll-free number you can call, or you can get into chat. We're always very happy to help you because our systems are simple. No, none of our products will ever hurt you. They will only benefit you if you follow our directions, and you'll get better like the millions of people who have used our products successfully for the last 40 years. And if you have more questions, then you can also follow up. So the next question, that would be question number 4. How can nature probiotics assist in healing IBS, IBD? I just explained this, so it's the same question. So then the next question is, typically, how long does it take to resolve gut issues when taking nature and precision probiotics? This is a great question, and I'll tell you why. Because our microbiota, which is the microbes, the 100 trillion microbes that line that 27 feet of your GI tract, and they're unique to every person like your fingerprint. In other words, we give you the bacteria that will stimulate the proper diversity, that will produce the right compounds to help your body have the tools to heal itself. So this is why it's so important for you to understand what the difference is between nature probiotics and everybody else, is because all of our products only contain the 3 bacteria, and then we have the life start of the baby bacteria. And we just have 3 different delivery systems. We have a dairy, we have a vegan, and we have our super pill, the Healthy Trinity. So you can mix and match any way you want. None of it will ever hurt you. And we encourage people to call us so we can help you structure a program for yourself. And depending on your state of health and your state of mind, is how long it will take for the nature and precision probiotics to help you resolve your gut issues. I can just tell you, some people feel better after the first couple of amounts that they've taken. Some people take longer because, remember, your perception of reality, your food, your anxiety, whatever, is what causes the problem. And each body is different in helping itself to heal itself. So you have to determine. And the good news is that none of our bacteria that we put in the nature and precision probiotics are ever detrimental at any level. And again, if you have any questions, please go to our website, www.natron.com, get in the chat box, call one of our people. We'll be happy to help you customize a program that fits your gut, because remember, we're not treating symptoms and we're not treating disease. We are improving the most important ecosystem to you, and that's the ecosystem of your microbes in your gut and the rest of your body. That's where the body needs the tools to heal itself. Okay, next question. What measures can be taken for diverticulitis? Well, for those of you who don't know what diverticulitis is, remember your intestinal tract is a winding tube of 27 feet. And as the food is processed coming down your small intestine into your large intestine, it's being squashed by something called peristalsis. It means a moving action that keeps pressing inside the intestines to digest and churn the food and keep passing it down. Sometimes, when there's a defect, instead of the food going down, it burrows a hole inside of the intestinal wall, and that hole forms like a little loop. And inside that loop, some bacteria can be caught and cause an infection. That's what the itis means. It means an inflammation. That means that that area is inflamed because the immune system is perceiving there's a problem. And that's what inflammation is, the immune system trying to destroy what it perceives as defective cells. So in diverticulitis, I'm sure there's hundreds of great diets. You just stop eating foods like nuts or shells or any kind of like pumpkin seeds, anything that could be caught in that pocket and cause horrific pain. And what I recommend is, again, you start on our 3 powders in the Healthy Start system. It's a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon each of the powders in a glass of lukewarm filtered water, and you drink it down before meals or any time in the day you feel discomfort. You can take it as many times as you need to feel better. And your body will speak to you and tell you when you've reached the right dose and you feel terrific. And now you're able to digest, and diverticulitis is no longer becoming an issue where you have to be in pain. Well, I'm moving right along. Let's see. The next question. If you have another question, please type in. Could you provide assistance for dealing with candida and constipation? What additional steps can I take? Well, when you have candida, your whole movement, which is called peristalsis down the intestinal tract, is affected. Why? Because candida is interfering with your whole natural function because it wants to take advantage of your body. And one of the advantages is slowing down the peristaltic action and creating constipation, which means the body is not eliminating the toxins in a timely manner. And I have told many young women, if you're experiencing constipation, we need to get better digestion and better peristaltic action. So what I would take is I would take the Digestalac powder, and I would take the dairy or the dairy-free. Remember, the dairy is not there for the humans. The reason I put dairy is because that's what the bacteria like. That's their choice, the number one choice. And then I had to develop a vegan brand because people didn't want to take milk. No matter how many times I told them the milk is not for you, it's for the bacteria. It's their food. Nevertheless, if you take a teaspoon of the Digestalac, you can take also the capsule. We have a powdered capsule. You take 2 of the capsules with at least 6 ounces of lukewarm filtered water. Or you can take it 3 times a day, 2 capsules 3 times a day. You can take one upon arising and one before bedtime. Give yourself a couple of days. Please stop eating any foods that are not, natural, that are highly processed, or that don't have any bulk. And natural bulk is anything like salad, or you're taking, something with fiber. So most people don't eat the amount of food. One of the great foods to help with constipation is figs, to help deal with it. Even though you have to watch the figs because the candida also likes them. You can have some small amount of sweet potato. So you sort of have to work with your body because constipation is a horrible issue. It's a horrible issue that many people don't know how to deal with. And they've always asked me this question. So there's no wrong way to take the Natren Precision Probiotic. I can just give you the best practices, but you have to listen to your body. Make sure that you're chewing your food at least 10 times. Sit down and allow your body to digest the food. And, you will have gas and problems when you have candida. I think there is a national problem, even though we're not addressing it. So I'm asking young people to please Stop drinking kombucha. We have not eliminated the candidiasis problem. We have a big fungal problem. They have now found fungi or candida in brain cells of people who have Alzheimer's. So candida is still around. It's vastly misunderstood, and people have been, drinking these products with what they call with the healthy yeast. Please don't do that. Please just follow those of us who've been doing this for decades and have talked to thousands of people. And again, we're not giving you medical advice. We're just trying to give you the tools for your body to allow it to heal itself. And you're the final decision maker of who you need to talk to and what you want to do to get your body back into great shape. So I hope that answers that question. So one of the things that I can tell you is we will be talking about this growth of candidiasis, the fact that people have been talking to you about consuming what we call nutritional yeast. There is no such thing. Here's a few tips. When you start taking your nature and probiotics, I'm encouraging you not to drink juice at juice bars because those machines are not cleaned. And if you want to drink your green juice, make sure that the green juice you're drinking is compatible because there's now some bad news and bad raps about spinach, which I'll get into my next talks. And you see what happens is that all of us have a genetic prototype and we adopt everybody's ideas of what we should be eating. Whereas we want to avoid processed foods and we want to avoid foods that raise our glycemic index, because if we raise our glycemic index, it becomes a perfect environment for candida to grow and for other bad bacteria to grow. Unfortunately for us, candida and bad bacteria will form alliances to take advantage of the body. And it's not good news for most of us. So my solutions are simple. If you want to go on our website, you don't have to buy anything. I have a free low carb diet that I developed with a very prominent doctor about 15 years ago. It's still one of the easiest low carb diets you can follow. Take the precision probiotics, take the powdered probiotics, the dairy free, a teaspoon or a capsule each day, 2 capsules before meals and 1 teaspoon before meals. The Digestalac if you have constipation with candida, or take the whole healthy start kit. There's no mistake. You can start with one product and include it and mix and match because our products are safe at any level. We don't use any soil organism. If you've been told to take a soil organism to fight candida, that's bad news, because the reason they're soil bacteria is because they've learned how to survive in the soil. And surviving outside is a lot more difficult than surviving in the stomach. They can change shapes. Soil bacteria can change into 3 distinct shapes. And I will discuss that in another lecture we have. So they could turn against the body. You cannot take that chance. And besides, if somebody in a different culture has been taking that bacteria on a regular basis, they have developed a tolerance. They have developed a tolerance. And that's why now a lot of your gurus, including Dr. Gundry, I listened to one of his tapes the other day. He's now, the reversal is they're telling people, well, you've been told the wrong things. You shouldn't be eating whole wheat bread. You shouldn't be eating bran. Though it's too harsh for your intestinal tract. Spinach has a problem. So what it is that when you look at all the people in the so-called blue zones who are long-lived, they figure out socially what diet fits for that group. And these adopted this by observation. So the reason these people live long and are healthy because they figured out what diet works for them with their level of activity in the zone that they live. And so when you adopt something that somebody in a blue zone is eating, it doesn't mean that your body's ready to digest and break this down and make you healthy. We have to determine by listening to all this information what is healthy for us and what is not healthy for us. Because I want to leave you with one thought. It has been said by many people now that in the 1950s, when people smoked and and ate red meat and ate all the stuff that we were told not to eat, we had far less chronic disease, even far less heart problems than we do now. We have massive problems with chronic disease in this culture, and we're seeing it among young people is early in their 20s or their teens. This is unheard of. So something that people have been telling us has not been working in our favor, and we need to go back to basics and maybe listen to somebody who has spent decades in this industry and has heard and seen it all. Listen, I welcome your questions. I hope these little sessions with me are helping you. I welcome your questions. I will give you amounts to take to help your body develop the tools to heal itself. We have to get out of the idea of treating symptoms. Symptoms are treated by your doctor, which you should discuss, but we all have the right to change our diet, to change our supplements, and allow our body to heal itself if we're not doing any harm to us. Look, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next Thursday. And I hope to have many more of your questions, and I look forward to it. Have a great day. Thanks.